Hello. Do you hear me well? Bueno, hello everybody, and thank you for coming to our Salon Anacasti, where our schedule today is to begin with the presentation by Zoom of the Lido Prize to the winner in Massachusetts. And after Daniel Benbenuto, with his role of historian, is going to be making the presentation of the Jockey Club and its history and golf at the Jockey Club. First of all, apologies if we don't have accreditation, but we use this room just for conferences, and we are not prepared for that. So, mistake from our side if we don't have anything. We are prepared for dinner for after that. Okay, I pass my words to John and Tom.
Andres, once again, thank you for actually putting together what has been a fantastic couple of days. I think, a couple of days through, but brilliant. So the Society, for a lot of people who are here for the first time on a Mackenzie Society gathering, we're an unusual society in that the golf is definitely important, but the Lido Prize and the architectural presentation go to the essence of the society. The society was founded to fundamentally understand research and come to learn more about Mackenzie. And the Lido Prize then is something that was created as a consequence of Ray Haddock, the step-grandson of Mackenzie, providing us with funding to put together a really interesting competition. Tom will provide you with some great statistics about this year's competition. But I think it's important to understand that what we're going to do for the next 45 minutes or so in terms of the presentation of the Lido Prize and then the architectural presentation by Daniel is actually the essence of why we're here. The socialization is great fun. It's actually pretty remarkable, and once again, kudos to Andres and the team. The golf has been brilliant, but this is the essence of what the society is about. Tom, over to you.
All right, my name is Tom Harrelson. I'm the director from Green Hills Country Club, and I'm the vice president of the association. In about 20 hours, I will probably be president, and I'd like to thank John Hurley for the 2 years that he has provided the leadership for the Mackenzie Society. Thank you, John. I'm just going to give a little background about the Lido Prize. The Lido was a golf course on Long Island that was created by Charles Blair McDonald, and in a Country and what was it?
Country and Life magazine.
Country and Life magazine held a contest for the finishing hole of the Lido golf course. In 1914, young Allister Mackenzie entered that contest, and he won, which started his role as an infamous and famous golf course architect. Back in 1995, Ray Haddock, the great-grandson of Dr. Mackenzie, found a manuscript in the attic of his home, and it was entitled The Spirit of St. Andrews. He published that book, and with a lot of generosity, he provided the society with the funding to create the Lido competition. And since 1995, Gene Zanardi of Green Hills Country Club has maintained and furthered the Lido competition year after year. Gene can't make it today. He's in Puerto Vallarta. He gives his best to everybody. But this year's competition was unbelievable. We had 76 total entries. 25 states of the United States were involved. 7 countries were also involved. The ages, this is incredible, the ages were 79 years of age all the way down to 15. The winner this year was Robert Hoye, H-O-Y-E, from Dover, Massachusetts. The Lido competition through Gene Zanardi has been judged by many, many notable professionals. Ben Crenshaw, Arnold Palmer, Gary Player, Nick Faldo, and we even have a few judges in our midst today. Mike DeFries, thank you very much, Mike. And Josh Pettit. Josh Pettit was the judge who determined in a blind entry, he didn't know who it was, he was the one who determined the winner this year. All right, so without further ado, I think we should introduce Ray Hoye, who is an architect by trade. I think this is, I think he may have provided a couple of entries in the past, but this is his first winning entry. And he's going to provide, through the magic of Zoom, his presentation.
Yep.
Hello, Robert.
I don't know if you can see me right now. Am I on the screen? Yep, I'm on the screen. Very good. Appreciate it. Thanks very much, by the way, for having me. I'm Bob Hoye, this year's winner of the Ray Haddock Lido Prize. I think you each have an outline or perhaps a sketch of the whole that was distributed. I hope so. That would help. But Gene Zanardi asked me to do 3 different things with you today. A bit of my background, what may have inspired me to design the whole the way I did, also how that design reflects Dr. Mackenzie's philosophies. At the end of that, I'll be happy to take some questions, but hopefully they'll be easy questions because I now realize everyone in the audience knows a good deal more about Dr. Mackenzie than I probably do. On a personal level, I'm 78 years old. I live in Dover, Mass, just outside Boston with my wife, Michelle, and I am a professional building architect. I got my master's degree from Harvard in 1973, and I've been retired about 15 years now. I took up golf when I was 9 years old and played my college golf at the University of Pennsylvania when I was an undergraduate in 1966 and 67. And then, like many of you, perhaps, I graduated and got a job, and my golf game's gone downhill ever since. I got interested in the Lido about 10 years ago. A friend of mine had seen some sketches I'd done, and I've entered, as the gentleman just mentioned, maybe 9 different times, and have been a finalist on a couple of occasions, but this is my first winning entry. By way of inspiration, you'd think perhaps I've been inspired by a hole I'd played, maybe one on a Mackenzie golf course, but I've never actually played a Mackenzie course. Instead, the inspiration was really a landscape in the town of Ipswich, Massachusetts, which isn't far from my home. It's a coastal community, typical in New England, and the setting is this beautiful tidal salt marsh. It's punctuated by a couple of drumlins, glacial drumlins, and also a meandering estuary. It's a remarkably beautiful place, and I think it's one that Dr. Mackenzie would have appreciated a great deal. I always thought it would make a memorable golf hole, so it's the setting for this year's par 3 on an imaginary basis, not the specific site, but simply a similar one that I imagine. In terms of Dr. Mackenzie's philosophies, I decided to pursue 3 of them this year. Their themes, they're parts of his 13 principles. First, the beauty of the natural setting. Second, the alternative routing to the hole from the tee for both low and high handicap players, and then also the shot making, the strokes needed to play the hole. With respect to the beauty of the setting, I spoke about it just a moment ago, but in that vein, I did my best. If you look at the plan and the sketch in the lower left, you'll see that the elevations, the contours of the site flow naturally from left to right down to the tidal marsh edge and set up three distinct landing areas, an upper, a middle, and a lower one. I also wanted to respect, as he would have done, the natural features of the site, like the drums, for example, but also to preserve the trees and the shrubs and the native grasses, as I'm sure Dr. Mackenzie would have done. One other thing I do want to mention about this particular site, if you'll notice down the far right-hand corner of the drawing, you'll see that I elevated the tee boxes. And I did it not just so the players could get a strategic view of the hole before they teed off, but also so that they could appreciate the sweeping vistas of the tidal marsh itself. We were talking earlier about the Country Life submission in 1914. I think that Dr. Mackenzie explored alternative routing probably more than any other theme in that submission. In this particular design, if you look at the sketch on the plan, you'll see there were 4 different driving options for the players. If you look at the left-hand one, for example, it's about 270 yards to the upper landing area. And you can see how it opens up the hole, particularly to a left front green, with an unimpeded ideal line of play to the hole itself. You can see that sketched up in the upper left-hand corner, trying to show the shot there. Alternatively, higher handicappers may have opted for a shorter tee shot, perhaps 215 to 250 yards to the middle tee area, the middle landing area. But they'd have to either negotiate the traps and hazards, or they'd have to play just left of the green for maybe an up and down chance of par. By contrast, looking to the extreme right, there's a third option for low handicappers where they could take a very bold line, perhaps 285 or even 300-yard tee shot, where they set up a short pitch shot for birdie. Usually when I submit these, I reflect today's modern technology of golf equipment. So there's even a fourth option here, which would be the heroic drive straight at the green, because it is, after all, a downwind and downhill hole. But whatever option anyone chooses to play, you have to make the decision before they tee off, because it's going to be driven by wind direction, pin location, and even the status of the match. In terms of shot making, I spoke just now about the tee shots, but in terms of approach shots, given weather conditions, you may be hitting a knockdown, bump and run kind of shot one day into the wind, whereas the next day to a back pin, you might be hitting a high fade. I think that the shot that I showed on the far right, that short pitch shot, if you look at it, you'll see the shot sketched in the upper right-hand corner of the drawing. It is short, it's 50 to 65 yards, but if you look at it, it's a very delicate shot. It's uphill. It may have to go over the big bunker that's in front of the green, and it could be into a narrow part of the green, requiring a lot of backspin. So it's the kind of challenge that Dr. Mackenzie liked to present to the very best golfers, the scratch man, as he called him, so that they too could improve their game. I just want to make a final comment about the green itself. You'll see it drawn on the right-hand side. It's in both plan and section. First thing to notice is that it is both deep and highly undulating, and it's also presented diagonally as viewed from the tee boxes, which is very common with Dr. Mackenzie. You'll see as well, if you look particularly at the cross section there, that it's got 3 distinct tiers. really reflecting the small glacial mounds that I envisioned sitting next to the edge of the green. It also has a whale in front, a deceptive one. It's kind of consistent, I think, with Dr. Mackenzie's concepts with camouflage, and it would repel any timid pitch shot to the green. Most notably, the green slopes from back to front about 4.5 feet. In 1920s, when Dr. Mackenzie designed many of his courses, of course, the slopes then, the green speeds were much slower. He designed elevation changes in greens that were 6 or 7 feet. I know there was a par 3 at Sitwell Park that had an elevation change of 10 feet. But these kinds of elevation changes aren't practical in today's world. So I tend to strike a balance, I think. I look to describe his greens for their undulated character and capture their drama, rather than trying to place undue emphasis on the elevation changes. I just want to make one final comment. The drawing itself, you'll notice, is not computer aided in any way. It's hand drawn the way Dr. Mackenzie had to do, but it's in my particular style. It's not in his style at all, which, as many of you know, is a far looser and more expressive one. So thanks again. Thanks for supporting Lido, and happy to take any questions you've got.
Robert, we're probably running a little short of time here, so we won't have questions, but we want to say thank you, congratulations, and we're going to move forward now with the architectural presentation by Daniel.
Great.
Thank you, Robert.
Thanks so much.
Is this working? It is. Okay, good evening to everybody. It's really a pleasure to be watching a lot of familiar, especially last week. We're a group of players from La Hinch. We're in Punta del Este, and we had a great time playing golf and eating asados. So it's good for me to receive you. And in order to start with this presentation, I want to clarify one point. I am not the official historian of this club as it regards its golf courses. It is Pedro Cosio, who has done a wonderful job, and he asked me to do the presentation. And I don't know if I will do it as well as he would surely do, but I'll try to get there. So, in order not to be very lengthy, I'm going to start with the fun part.
Buenos Aires, Argentina, one of the leading golf clubs on the South American continent. A match between Roberto Di Vicenzo, the long-driving Argentinian veteran, winner of the Open Championships of France, Holland, Belgium, Mexico, and the Argentine. And Mike Suchak, another of the game's mightiest hitters, the star of 2 Ryder Cup matches, and winner of many of the most important tournaments on the professional circuit. And to describe and analyze the play in today's match, one of the greatest champions in the history of golf, Gene Sarazen. I'm George Rogers, and this is Shell's Wonderful World of Golf, a series of international matches played on the world's most famous golf courses. This week, the Jockey Club, Buenos Aires, Argentina.
Well, even we, the members, don't regard it as a famous golf course. It has become famous, and it's famous all over the world. And most of the best players in the world have often come to play our courses. That year was 1962, and in 1962, we had the Canada Cup, which then later became the World Cup. And I was 15 years old at that time, and on one of the practice days, I just got out of school, and I saw Arnold Palmer hitting balls. And to me, it was a moment I will not forget, because we would see photos and read about him in the newspapers, but to have him here in 1962, and plus he came with Sam Snead, and they won the Canada Cup. But the international trophy was won by Roberto Di Vicenzo, who you watched and who is our greatest golfer, I would say. So if you walk in the corridor that takes you to the locker rooms, you will see a lot of photographs of the great players that have come to Argentina and played our course. But the Jockey Club is different to all of the clubs that you belong to. All of the clubs that you belong to were formed by golfers, by people that loved the game and wanted to have a golf course. Jockey Club was created in 1882 by politicians, prominent businessmen, and members of the Argentine elite who loved thoroughbred horses. And they wanted to organize horse track racing and the development of the thoroughbred race of horses. And at that point in Argentina, the organization of horse races was quite chaotic. There was no order because thoroughbreds would compete against ordinary horses. There were a lot of racetracks, and not one important as the one that the Jockey Club leased from the government in Palermo, in front of the polo fields where the Argentine Polo Open, which is also famous, is played. And the Jockey Club then is not a golf club, and that's the main difference. And that you should realize that because its main objective are the horses, the polo game and the horse races, not golf. But golf has become important. At one point in time, the horse races became so popular, and the club derived a lot of income from the bets that was immensely superior to the members' fees. So it became, they called it one of the richest clubs in the world. And they had a plot of land downtown Buenos Aires, which they sold for a very important sum. And with that and some financing, they buy San Isidro, 781 acres in 1925. What they wanted was to have their own racetrack, not depending on the leasing of a racetrack, which you can see today. The one in Palermo is very beautiful, very nice, but they wanted a new racetrack. And they wanted that. They wanted to expand the social and sporting activities of the club, and a place where the members that had horses could keep their horses, train them, feed them, and so on. Alas, there was a golf course in the premises. A golf course constructed by the San Isidro Golf Club, which is a club very near to us in distance. It's only a blocks away from where you play today. And they had leased this land, part of this land, since 1911. First, they built a 9-hole course and then expanded to 18. So we don't know how golf came to be a part of the Jockey Club. We don't know if there was a fixed idea, there's a golf course there, we're going to play golf, or if it just came by chance. We don't know. But fortunately, golf was there. This is an aerial view, 1935, and this is the main racetrack. You see the bleachers there. Here, there's a training track, and a little bit to the right of that is where they built all of the boxes where the horses would sleep and be fed. And in this tiny portion, Mackenzie built 36 holes. And that speaks, this picture speaks of how important are the horses, and the golf, while it is important, is not the main objective of the club. So San Isidro Golf Club had the lease. They had to continue there because they really had a contract, and they allowed Jockey Club members that had acquired the property to play and to use the course. San Isidro Golf Club bought a piece of land nearby, and they constructed their new course, which was ready for play in 1928. Designed by Juan Dentone. I know, Josh, you're going to be in Mar del Plata Golf Club. Juan Dentone designed Mar del Plata Golf Club. Now, when Mackenzie came, the Jockey Club members could not play at the course that the Jockey Club had. So San Isidro Golf Club, returning the goodwill gesture, allowed them to play in San Isidro Golf Club. What happened next was that the golf committee considered that this course was not sufficient for, the success golf had amongst the Jockey Club members. And so they decided they would construct 2 golf courses. For that, they wanted a well-experienced architect, and this was essential for them, experienced in climates such as ours, Southern Hemisphere. So particularly, they didn't want British architects. They want architects or designers with expertise in climates of the Southern Hemisphere. They went to the USGA, and their president, Mr. Douglas, proposed Allister Mackenzie, who was British. But as you members of Royal Melbourne and Titirangi know, he had experience in climates such as ours. And so they signed a contract with Mackenzie, and Mackenzie arrives around 1930, together with Luther Coons, who was an engineer at the Wendell Miller Company that was in charge of the irrigation of both courses. The irrigation system was top in the world at that time, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Wendell Miller was also involved in the construction of Augusta National later on. The site was very flat, and so they excavated land and building or carving swales, which then were used for drainage purposes, and they were perfect, because after heavy rains, the course always was ready for play in matter of hours. And also the land that was extracted was used to build higher greens and elevated tees that were a novelty for the Argentine golf, because most of the existing golf courses were also flat, and the greens not elevated enough. And so this was a distinctive character that these new courses brought. This is Mackenzie saying the undulations appear to have been created by the effects of wind and water 1,000 years ago. That's quoted from his book, The Spirit of St. Andrews. After 21 working days, the first 18 holes were ready for seeding. They used horses, scrapers, tractors, etc. And Mackenzie in his book also says that the course would look like St. Andrews. He said he was in favor of not building a single bunker because the undulations were enough to provide a lot of interest and difficulty for play. But the captain of the club said, we cannot have a golf course without any bunkers. And so he said, well, we'll give you a few bunkers. Lastly, he said that the construction had been wonderful, and if the upkeep is done with the same quality, this should be one of the world's greatest golf courses. This is an interesting photograph. On the left, you find Allister Mackenzie. I have never seen a photo of Mackenzie where he's not posing, and this is an instantaneous photograph. The man beside him is Luther Kuntz, the engineer, and they are looking at the grounds they are constructing. And it is a funny photograph because it was published in a magazine called El Golfer Argentino, the Argentine golfer, in 1945. That is 15 years after the photo was taken, which is 1930. The funny thing is that the El Golfer Argentino, the magazine, started in 1931. Its first edition was published in 1931. So we have been looking for more of these pictures, which we think are in some archive, because the company that published these magazines went broke and was sold, and we don't know who has access to this archive, because there may be many, because if one photographer was there for the construction, he should have taken more than one picture. We would like to get hold of that material, and we will in the future. This is a picture taken by Luther Kuntz, I imagine, of the 16th green of the red course. I don't know if you played it today, but it's really a wonderful hole. Here you can see the mounds. You can see the old clubhouse, which belonged before to San Isidro Golf Club. And this hole is famous because Mackenzie almost replicated it as the 8th in Augusta. So that is why this hole is so particular to us. This is the same hole. This picture is taken out of a book by Geoff Shackelford, and you see the horses, the tractors, and the mounds being constructed. And this is the final product. You will notice that the green covers the mounds as well, which is no longer present today. It should be, because it looks really fabulous. Mackenzie left in April 1930, and construction was made by Luther Kuntz, who was an engineer at the Wendell Miller Chicago offices. Luther Kuntz remained in Argentina until his death in 1971 and constructed, I don't know, more than 20 or 30 courses, some of them very good, including Cantegril, where we played with La Hinch members last week. He made that one. The red course opened in December of 1930. Just think how speedily it was constructed. An exhibition match between 4 Argentine professionals, one of them, Jose Jurado, who the next year was a runner-up at the Open, lost to Tommy Armour. He was quite good, Jurado. And the blue course inaugurated the next year, 1931. Here is a picture taken at the 10th hole, Colorado, red course, the day of the inauguration. You can watch the sprinklers irrigating what would become the blue course. Tree planting. Mackenzie had designed a links course. In his opinion, it would resemble a links course like St. Andrews. However, the golf committee had other ideas. They wanted to delineate the fairways with trees in a fashion that Mackenzie would have never approved, because he was against the Indian file of trees separating fairways. And just to give you an idea of what was done, in 32 they planted 820 trees, and in 34, 1,000. Just think about planting 1,000 trees in 1 year. It's crazy. This trend continued, and in the 80s, 1980, 1,500 trees. In 81, 1,300, and in 82, 800. So it's really, they exceeded whatever was logical, and created really a hassle, because if you hit a bad tee shot and went into the woods, you couldn't get in because it was so thick and full of branches. Here's an article that appeared at the Golfer Argentino, and the important thing it says is that before the trees were planted, you could sit in the clubhouse and watch. Sorry. And watch players playing the different holes, which is what Mackenzie would have liked. But we were not alone in doctrine, because this is an aerial view of Augusta that I found, and there were no trees planted. A little bit over here, but this is, I think, the 13th. This is the 15th. No trees, You've got the lake there. The trees at the 18 remain the same. So really, they planted a lot of trees after. So bunkers, another problem we have. As I mentioned before, he didn't plan to build bunkers, but they asked for them, and so he gave a few. But the committee again decided they wanted more bunkers, and they increased the number and the size. Originally, there were 3,150 square yards of sand at the Colorada, at the red course. 2014, this number had increased to 8,459. This shows you how dramatic the changes were and how it affected negatively in the golf course. Also, the blue course was not exempt, and they added a lot of square yards of sand. Now, this is a fun fact. Mackenzie designed Augusta, and half of its holes didn't have greenside bunkers. So his theory was the same as he had projected in Argentina. Again, what happened in Augusta happened also in the Jockey Club. They added trees and they increased the number of bunkers. This will give you an example. This is the 10th green of the Colorado. In yellow, you have the original bunker, and the red line indicates the present bunker. At the 17th of the same course, these two yellow bunkers were the original, and they were expanded. This is the 8th hole, the present 8th hole at the Colorado. And in one of the articles in the magazine I have mentioned, there's a story about Mackenzie and a member of the Jockey Club. They were at a British Open, and Mackenzie asked the Jockey Club member if the members still disliked his 8th hole. And they really did, because this is the original. And if you see it, it's fantastic. It's a fun hole, which was completely altered. Here you can see the green, the original green, and they added this triangle at the front and those two large bunkers. Same thing in other parts of the course. This is the 3rd green, Colorado. They added these small bunkers, which fortunately was taken away 1 or 2 years ago. But there was no bunker in the left side, just a fallout from the green, and they added this enormous bunker. At the 7th green, which is next to the 3rd, they increased also the size of the bunker. In the dark figure, you see the tiny bunker, and the dotted line is where the bunker is today. Now, upon the Jockey Club joining this wonderful organization, a Mackenzie committee was created in advisory capacity to take care of all of these changes and try to bring back the spirit of the design imagined by Mackenzie. And with Mike DeVries, who is sitting here, we started with his advice, the restoration of the courses. The process is very slow because, as I told you before, this is not a golf club, and the board has a lot of things to take care, and horse races are very important in Argentina, and they take a lot of time, energy, and money. So slowly but surely we are accomplishing restorations. And the best thing is not all of the members, but many have understood that we must remove trees to get good turf to play and reduce bunkers, which are very costly to maintain. If you play the 15 Colorada, at the left and alongside the out of bounds, you had numerous trees. It was really a very narrow fairway with those trees, and all of them were removed. And it has made the whole much better to play, more fun to hit your driver. You can shape a shot before you couldn't. So that's an example of how well these changes are for the course. And if you were here, some of you were here in 2012, I hope that you will notice these changes, slight changes, but important changes. This is my presentation. I thank you for your presence and attendance. And I also want to thank Andres, who asked me to do this. For me, it's an honor to do it. And he asked me a long time ago. So
I think, yeah, the day we left Cyprus last year. I think it was that day. So you're going to be taking care of the historian presentation. And great, Daniel, thank you very much. We had the luck as I'm talking as Jockey Club now, to participate in the first Mackenzie gathering in 2007 at Cyprus. First, as the bylaws of the Mackenzie rules, the Jockey Club participated with a team of 3. At that time was Jean de Ganet, Patricio Weiss, and Lance Mahani, who's around. Lance is all over always. There's Lance. And thank you, Lance, because he was also critical in joining the Mackenzie Society. And in my particular case, my first experience was in 2009, Crystal Downs. And what really, we learned a lot of things, of course, no? But one of the main things is that we didn't have a north, okay? We were lost with this concept of the designer. For us, Mackenzie was fantastic, but actually, as we are not a golf club, we are a club with golf, okay? It was very important to begin, putting Mackenzie, the designer, in front of everything, as we learned from other clubs that actually belongs to this fantastic society, And that also helped us to actually begin to execute a plan, okay, in order to put things in order as they were when both courses were built. Maybe it's also the experience of other clubs, but we had but we have very interesting captains, okay, that actually their intention was to leave a print of their past through their captain responsibilities in the club, so they changes, or new forestation, and suddenly we realized that we had a French garden instead of having a Mackenzie design, no? So actually the Mackenzie Society helped us a lot to be on track. Así que thank you very much for that. Before we go to dinner, I would like to give some messages. Thank you very much for all the greetings, congratulations, but all these will be impossible to do without first the employees that we have at the club, okay? In every single area that you go. Today we have Jose Nogueira in the cameras, who's also responsible of the library, okay? And we have Mr. Carlos Macias on the other side, whose main responsibility is tech. And Nogueira Jose is also responsible for our media and TV. These, for example, this edition of the Historian, everything, we have a channel in YouTube. So immediately, I don't know if immediately or in 2 days, but it goes to the YouTube, okay? And that, of course, goes to the employees on the course and the dinner we had last night and what's going to happen in a couple of hours, okay? So, again, thank you very much. Also, the structure of the club helps a lot, no? We have to make it work. Bueno, during dinner, that I think is going to happen more or less in half an hour, we're going to be leaving by the same door that we came into, by Cerrito, and we're going to go to the main door by outside. Moving 150 people by internal stairs will be a mess. So maybe the mess is better organized by outside. And I hope it doesn't rain. I don't know if it's raining or not now, but again, but it's always going to be better. We also have a special guest, for dinner, which is Mr. David Edel, who's here. David is a close friend of Argentina, especially of a family, decades member of the club, the family Hernandez, and he has a very strong connection with El Boquerón, which is a design made by Mackenzie for a special family in a private estancia on the seaside in Mar del Plata, no? So he's going to share with us his story around El Boquerón, and you're going to be seeing while we get into the dining room a map of the design of El Boquerón that basically describes, well, it's a map, it's a picture, no? A perfectly described picture that's going to give us a head for his presentation while we go most probably between the meal and dessert. And I think those are the announcements that I have before dinner, okay? Thank you very much. Very interesting. One thing. Tomorrow, most probably, we are going to be anticipating the shotgun for half an hour. So that means departure, you're going to be all receiving a communication through WhatsApp. Tomorrow, once we finish, we're going to be having the prize ceremony and another very interesting activities at the racetracks that Daniel was showing, okay? Again, the idea is to share with you as much as more as we have, okay? As more as we can. Our recommendation, well, we got permit, thanks God, on the attire. We just need to wear a jacket, okay? Not necessarily, not a tie. Of course, you want to do it, go ahead, no? But can be in T-shirt, okay? We cannot use Bermudas, but we need to just wear either a T-shirt, a shirt, and the jacket, okay? You can take a shower, of course, once we finish. It's going to be kind of all together at the same time because we're filling a shotgun. So the recommendation is as long as you give the card, please go to the dressing rooms, take a shower, change, and then begin going to the buses that are going to be taking us to the racetracks. It's only a 3 minutes ride on the bus, or maybe less, okay? But we cannot go walking because we have to cross all the golf course. Well, and there they're going to take us to the fourth floor where the members area is. We're going to be approximately the same amount of people, the same number of people that we were at the opening. We expect 240, 220. Our president is going to be there. Unfortunately, he couldn't make it these days, but he's going to be at a moment in the prize ceremony. And what else? Well, we're going to have some music, tango music. We're going to have a quintet of Astor Piazzolla. And the ladies are going to have a different agenda in the morning, but they're going to join us most probably a little earlier, okay? So when we go there, most probably they will be there. Also, there is checkout for some of the participating groups. So we think that logistics requested are all arranged, okay? And some people need to leave the pricing ceremony around 4:30, 4:45-ish, okay? So we, as soon as we begin to this area, which we think is going to happen like at 2:30, we're going to be having lunch and doing the prize ceremony, and also David is going to have some special words at that time, okay? And that's it. I'm done.